Last time, we took a look at all the creatures featured in Prehistoric Teyvat Late Cretaceous and the documentary special titled Dawn of the Saurians. But today, we're gonna take a look at something more different. We will be checking out every single creature from Prehistoric Teyvat Ice Age. Let's start off with Mondstadt. Starting off strong, we have the Mondstadt straight-tusked elephant, resembling the real-world African bush elephant, but with fur and larger tusks. It weighed up to 14 tons and was the largest land mammal in Mondstadt at the time. They traveled in herds alongside ancient bison who had giant horns and sturdy legs to keep them going. Their fur was thick to help them insulate from the cold. Wild horses were commonly seen in Teyvat. I theorize that these are the ancestors of the horses that Vark domesticated long ago. Here are two variants just for fun. Again, here's the orange variant and the brown variant. Which wild horse variant do you prefer? I think I like the brown variant better. The apex predator of mainland Mondstadt, the king of the Ice Age forests, the silver mane lion. Silver mane lions didn't tolerate intruders. Their mane shined like silver, hence the name silver mane lions. Females lack manes. However, the cubs had some manes in development and had spots. On the southwest end of the spectrum, we have the dragon spine cave bear. Half hibernator, half active creature. An active hunter and scavenger, we have the dire wolf that existed thousands of years ago, and is also the ancestor of the wolves seen in wolfendom today. Although that is up for debate, I still think the dire wolf and the wolfendom wolf are related. At the end of the episode, we get introduced to Saiga antelope, who have migrated for leeway to graze on throughout Dragonspine for the spring and summer months. Speaking of leeway, our next episode takes place in that exact region. The leeway straight-tusked elephant may have had smaller ears, smaller tusks around their body shape, and overall herd numbers in comparison to its relative found in Mondstadt. However, its juveniles were hunted upon by the Shuanwan tiger, a beast of red fur that walked on 4 legs. Fossils of many creatures were found with the bite marks of this exact creature. In Chenyu Vale, our ancestors might have been able to discover the giant flightless pelican. Compared to its closest living relative, the red pelican, this pelican was too heavy to fly. The Chenyu pandas, though, rest in peace, because you will never get a chance to spread outside of your native region, because those humans have depleted you of all bamboo you could eat. The babies are also cute, not gonna lie. The fiery herd jackal is a species of canine creature resembling a fox, but with flame-like hair across its body. Primordial azure cranes are the ancestors of azure cranes, seen across Liyue and Mondstadt today. They were a little bit larger compared to their modern cousins. They lived near waterways, swamps, and anywhere else. Inazuma was connected by a land bridge thousands of years ago. And here are some of the creatures you could have encountered in that time period. For example, the giant tanuki, a bear-like creature the size of a large dog. On the Thundering Cliffs, we have the thunderhorn goat, smaller than the goats found in Teyvat today, about as tall as, I don't know. These goats had a unique horn design, not seen in their living relatives today. Frogbirds evolved from a common ancestor 25 million years ago, and were wiped out thousands of years ago. Although we had found plenty of fossils of frogbirds across Inazuma, the cause of their extinction is still unclear. The Inazuman horned rattlesnake is a venomous snake with 2 large horns on its head. Some theorize it may have been used for display. Oni lizards were its primary food source. According to biologists, males were bright red with an orange stripe across their backs. They had horns, which they could have used for display, mating, or fighting purposes. While females were much duller in color and lacked horns. Now we move to Sumeru, the nation of Dendro, and it housed 3 different biomes: swamps, jungles, and deserts. The Hexaprotodon was a giant swamp-dwelling beast that existed from 2.5 million years ago to about 30,000 years ago when humans intervened. An ancestor to the modern ridgebuland tiger, we have Panthera ridgebulandi gigas. This was the apex predator of its time. It had a stronger bite force than its modern relative and was way bigger. The ancestor of the sumpter beasts seen today was the pygmy sumpter beast, a creature the size of a boar that lived both in the jungle and in the desert. before eventually splitting off into their rightful species. This right here is the Sumerian giant ape, the original king of the jungle. We don't know exactly how this giant ape might have gone extinct, though some theorize it may be because of deforestation. A long time ago, Sumerian mouse deer were found in vast numbers all throughout the Sumeru rainforest. But after thousands of years, their numbers decreased dramatically to the point where they are seldom seen in Sumeru today. Now there are only a few left. So within a few years, they might eventually go extinct. Millions of years ago, in a world ruled by beasts, there existed a reptile called the primordial spinal crocodile. The spinal crocodile's prehistoric relative grew to gigantic sizes, bigger than its modern-day descendant, and more aggressive towards other creatures. In the vast deserts of Sumeru, where people began to form civilizations, you could find the humpless camel, aka Camelotherium desertum. Long ago, this species used to travel in vast numbers throughout the Sumeru desert. But then, the native people got hungry and eventually hunted down this species to extinction. A creature often mistaken for a vishap. This is the desert dragon, a type of lizard surrounded by armor. Its bony armor may resemble rocks, but that's the point. The rocks were used to camouflage itself. And its bite was filled with bacteria, meaning the predator could finish off its prey faster than anything else. Before the vultures arrived, these were the original Sumeru desert birds, the Struthiornis rex. Resembling the real-world ostrich, these gigantic birds were very aggressive and sometimes very lethal due to their high leg kicks that could inflict damage. In the seas of what is now Fontaine, we could find a species of giant toothed whale called Nibelungia, named after the king of the dragons itself. The Nibelungia lived from about 10 million years ago to about 8,000 years ago, when the dragon sovereign of water drove it to extinction. The Fontanian megalodon shares the same fate as the toothed whale I talked about earlier. It was the ocean's original apex predator. Jaws equipped with sharp teeth and that unforgettable fin. It could maul anything in its path. And if it were still alive, it could maul the entirety of Fontaine and rip it to shreds. On the icy shores, we have the Caesar penguin, resembling the emperor penguin. They have a tuft of feathers resembling a crown. They shared their habitat with the saber-toothed seal, a giant semi-aquatic mammal with saber teeth used to catch fish, squid, and other aquatic creatures. Some biologists theorize that the saber-toothed seal is actually closely related to the blubber beast, but that seems unlikely. Something that is more likely related to its modern-day descendant is the coastal badger. Thousands of years ago, these fully terrestrial mammals terrorized the shores of Fontaine. But over time, they rejected land altogether and became semi-aquatic, leisurely otters. Heading over to the nation of Pyro, aka Natlan, which was featured in episode 6, Fire and Ash. This is the short-necked rhino, only 3 meters tall, and with a head bump instead of a horn. This is the ancestor to the modern long-necked rhino. Unlike its descendant though, it was a solitary creature. The giant ground sloth, on the other hand, was a massive creature, 6 meters tall and fur covered in moss. This gigantic mammal was the original Natlanese giant. Some tribal members say that this beast is still alive and they are calling it the Slumber Stealer. Next up, Mortalophilus, also known as the Natlanese saber-toothed cat. The name Mortalophilus pyrodens means fire-toothed mortal cat. Look at this. You cannot tell me that this is dangerous. The enemy of the Mortalophilus pyrodens was the Allocrocuta, a species of hyena that existed over 4 million years ago and hunted one of mankind's earliest relatives, the Phaneopithecus, or the primordial one, as some paleontologists call this species of ape that was related to humans. We have the Natlanese moa, which was found in what is now the Flower Feather clan tribe. This type of bird was flightless and very skittish in nature. Here we have 4 macaw species, which are now very rarely seen in Natlan, outside the Easy Breeze holiday resort. The flame plume macaw, which lived in what is now the Flower Feather clan tribe. The vine plume macaw, which lived in what is now the Scions of the Canopy tribe. the light plume macaw, which lived in what is now central Natlan, and the spring plume macaw, which lived in what is now the people of the Springs tribe. The new Natlan Tyrannosaurus design is great. I love it. The redesign takes the Tyrannosaurus from a standing up lizard into a true dinosaur. 4 new saurian species were revealed for this show. The Natlan Ornithosaurus, which is the ancestor to the Cuckoosaurus. The Parasaurus with that feathery crest. And preference for wandering in herds. The Dryosaurus, which could be found in the trees, swinging from one branch to another. And the Natlan Ankylosaurus, which had an unseen ability to burrow underground. We also have the Natlan giant tapir, which was most likely wiped out by overhunting. The Alabriornis, aka the terror bird of Natlan. Its sharp beak made it a nightmare for its foes. It had powerful legs and a very scarlet color feathers. It most likely died out of starvation. The Tyrannoboa, the biggest snake Teyvat has ever seen, over 15 meters long, and a terrifying gaze. You would just run away from this thing. The Tyrannoboa most likely, would have gone extinct from starvation as well. And now we come to the final episode, Not Cry. The final episode is titled Moon of the North. Here we have the frost moon elk, the giant relative of the rhyme-horned deer. My, look at these antlers. They're so gigantic. The unicorn rhino, a giant relative of the blonde-horned rhinos. They have a giant horn, and their physique is similar to real-world greater one-horned rhinoceroses. Phalarctos maximus, or the Not Cry megabear, was a giant white-furred beast that lived in the snowy regions of Not Cry at the time. Snowy eagles. They were the scavengers of this ice age. The most likely explanation for their extinction is global warming. And last but not least, we have the musk oxen. These creatures are not actually fully extinct. They could be found in Not Cry in small numbers. But once there were many. The real reason for the depletion of the numbers is global warming again. How many times have I mentioned global warming? Let me know in the comments below. And that was all the prehistoric Teyvat Ice Age creatures we had time for. Stay tuned for 2 new upcoming documentaries, Walking with Dinosaurs Teyvat style, and Walking with Beasts Teyvat style. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed. Please make sure to like, share, and subscribe. And remember, prehistoric creatures are us. Bye, see you around.